Hello folks, welcome to Legacy IS Academy. In this video, we will be discussing a current affair topic presented to you by your faculty Sushma. So what is the topic that we will be looking into today? US-Iran tensions and the Strait of Hormuz. See, if you see, over the past few days in newspaper, it has all been about a ceasefire, an agreement to reduce the hostilities between USA and Iran. But at the same point of time, next day, the news props up telling that US has hit Iranian authorities, Iranian assets. Iran in turn has retaliated by attacking your US bases. So this is happening. So if there is something called a ceasefire, then why are they fighting? The answer lies in a very simple topic, your Strait of Hormuz. See, what is the issue with Strait of Hormuz? When Strait of Hormuz is a very narrow passage which is very crucial because it carries 20% of global crude oil shipping. It is extremely important for energy hungry countries like India, which imports almost 80 to 85% of its crude oil from the imports. Now, in such a scenario, your developing countries like India, China, Japan, all are dependent on the crude oils, and your Iran is using Strait of Hormuz as a negotiation, okay, tactic in order to reduce your US-Iran war. See, first things foremost, are US and Iran wanting to get a peace deal? The answer is yes. But where is the differences? Means on whose terms? Iran wants it on its terms, US wants on its terms. In this, another big factor is your Israel. The Israel factor will come to it a little while later. Now, coming to the US and Iran issue. See, what happened was recently, why we are looking at this news means your Iran hit many of the commercial vessels because they were not cooperating with the Iran. Your US is of the opinion that for commercial shipping, they don't need to follow or cooperate with any Iran or Iranian authorities. But Iran tells no, all vessels need to cooperate with us. Another aspect is, as of now, if you see, the Strait of Hormuz is jointly controlled by Iran on the north and Oman on the south. Your Iran wants to levy tolls, which goes against your UN clause. Understanding? And also your USA wants to create a scenario where they will take an alternate way, that is come to a region which is controlled by Oman. Your Iran does not want that happening because then that would mean it will lose the leverage that it has. First thing. Second thing, they are trying to pressure, US is trying to pressurize the Iraqi government into coming into place here. But your Iran does not want that in happening. If these are one side, on another side is your Lebanon issue. Israel and Lebanon business keeps on trying to disrupt the ceasefire deal. Meaning, Iran and Lebanon want Israel to stop continuing its occupation in Lebanon. Israel wants Lebanon to stop with the arms. Neither of that is happening, so it still continues. Israel still continues its operations in Lebanon. So much so that US President Donald Trump has held that the shaky ceasefire or the interim ceasefire between Iran is ended and the US officials can continue the talk, but he also claims that I don't know what is the point of it. Understanding? This is what it is. This is not the first time that US President Donald Trump has gone back on his threats, or this is not the first time that US President Donald Trump has issued threats against Iran. So both of this we have seen earlier. What will happen is what we are to see. See, before your US Israel launched a preemptive strike on Iran, on an average per day, about 150 105 to 115 ships used to pass in your Strait of Hormuz. But now it has reduced to 6 to 12 ships. Understanding? So this showcases how the present scenario is. Now, according to your UN clause, your International Maritime Organization, your international agreements, everything, they're telling commercial vehicles should not be stopped. But is that happening in reality? No, it is being stopped. Disruptions are being made. So this affects the global transit and energy trade. In this, many of the Gulf countries are divided on one aspect. Certain Gulf countries are busy trying to engage with Iran in the restructuring policy. Certain countries are trying to ally with USA in order to make sure that they will deal with this scenario effectively. So in both these cases, there are certain pros and cons. Okay, now let's get into the video. First of all, why is it in news? See, if you see here, an interim MOU, this is the ceasefire MOU that was signed. This has come to an end because both sides have started attacking each other, and the strikes are continuing despite the memorandum of understanding being signed. And also the main flashpoint in all of this is your Strait of Hormuz issue. So if you see what is your US-Iran issue, we can just sum it up into a few small cycles. US strikes Iranian targets, Iran attacks US bases in the Gulf, Iran restricts the shipping, US launches airstrikes, and Iran will respond militarily. This is an ongoing thing that we have been seeing in your US-Iran conflict. So the ceasefire, anything that they announce, remains very fragile here. So Strait of Hormuz is important. Why? Like I mentioned, world's 20% of global oil trade passes through it. It connects Persian Gulf, Gulf of Oman, and Arabian Sea. So as per the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, Iran and Oman jointly manage the strait. So they have to follow international law, UN clause agreements, all of this. So there is also a Iran-Oman joint working group formed. Now before we go ahead, we have a small announcement for you from Legacy IAS Academy. If you're someone who is preparing for UPSC Civil Service exam, then look no further, you have found the right spot with Legacy IAS Academy. Why? Because we make sure that our batch size is strictly restricted to 40 members per limit, and our new regular batch is starting at 3rd August, 7th September and 3rd November. We also have weekend batches for working professionals and students, which will start from 8th August and 10th October and 12th December. The seats are filling up faster, so schedule a demo session, see how the working is. We offer our courses both in online as well as offline mode. We also provide one-on-one mentorship, and daily mains answer writing challenges are there. 60-degree current affairs coverage. We offer test series for your prelims, mains, and interview. For more such information, you can visit Legacy IAS Academy website or contact the number given below. All right. Now, let's come back to the issue in hand. So, what is the short-term issue if you see in the US-Iran conflict? The MOU tells, Memorandum of Understanding tells, Iran must allow commercial ships to pass. And for these ships to pass, US tells that these ships do not have to coordinate with your Iran. But Iran tells that the ship must cooperate with the Iranian authorities, and also they should not bypass or find alternative routes. Again, why is the Strait of Hormuz important? Because it is the biggest negotiation chip your Iran has, because world's 20% of the global oil goes exports is through this. Here, according to UN clause provisions, Article 26 tells that the coastal states cannot impose any sort of tolls or flat transit tolls. They can only offer, or payments are allowed only in the form of services which are provided when you provide navigation aids, environmental protection, these kind of things. So before your war started happening, there were per day around 104 to 115 ships transiting through your Strait of Hormuz. Now it is reduced to 6 to 12. This has caused huge supply chain disruption and also higher freight costs, and your oil prices are shooting up. Okay, so the trust deficit factor, if you see in this US and Iran scenario, your Iran fears that US will change MOU terms. Your US fears that your US is using this for creating bottlenecks. And further, if you see, they want to add, your US wants to add Iraqi government's pressure on Iran. Iran does not want to make that happen. Rather, Iran wants to have a leverage. So, another coupled issue is the Lebanon thing that we discussed. In the entire Gulf region is now divided under two camps you can consider. One is the set of Gulf countries which are trying to re-engage or engage with Iran by adding it in dialogue, economic cooperation, okay, economic conciliation. Who are those countries? Means your Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia. Now there are another countries which are aligned with the US like your Bahrain, Kuwait, UAE, where they want security cooperation and strategic partnership with the US. So these two are the camps that we are seeing as of now in your Gulf. What are the further challenges? See, first and foremost, we can predict few scenarios. There will be limited military strikes which will keep on continuing among both of them, or they can go for a second scenario being a successful, let's say, negotiation which leads to a peace deal. Or third, there will be a breakdown of talks and full-fledged, okay, hostilities can resume back. So this is happening is because of varied issues such as your regional proxy conflict, mutual trust on each other is very less, and also rising oil prices, shipping disruptions, all this is happening. In all of this, how is this matter important to India means? It is important to us from our energy security and also from our high inflation. Why high inflation? High fuel cost, and India imports 85 to 90% of its crude oil. So there's high dependence, and also this affects the global transit. And another important thing with respect to India is the Indian diaspora security is also getting affected. Understanding? So this is how this topic is panning out. With this, we've come to the end of the content. If you like our content, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, share it along with your friends. Thank you.